Dana, you got to keep it on the black stuff.
Yes, the grass is never more grippy, especially in the wet. I've tried both. Doesn't work.
All right, here they come out of turn number 13, 14, and 15. Coming to the green flag this time through. Eric Magnuson out in front, Chris DeLucia alongside. Watch that all-wheel drive Subaru. Here we come. Green flag, and we're underway. GridLife GT at Chicagoland Autobahn Country Club. Into turn one, Magnuson clears DeLucia. And then for looking fourth place there, David Calzada middle, 3 wide here as the 244 BMW goes around the outside.
Yeah, look at Galerius. You're taking the actual pit blend line, which is pretty much the rain line at this track. Very, very outside line for all of the grip possible.
Onto the backstretch towards turn 4. Look at Hans Horpedal in the Corvette. Goes around the outside of the DeLucia BMW, and it looks like he'll move into second place. Here's Anthony Pacelli offline there into turn 4. Look at DeLucia sideways there as we watch from the onboard in the Ginetta G56, again courtesy of Clark Camburn and Apex Broadcast, who have this car kitted out with a really cool onboard camera. This is going all the way to Laguna Seca and back with a server rack on board their production trailer that's all the way across the country. So really cool kit here to help out our show. And up the back straightaway now, look at second place. That's Gorelius in the 244 BMW now attacking Hans Horpedal for that second spot.
Yeah, Magnuson here has a huge advantage out front with no spray in front of him that he has to avoid, and he also gets to pick any line he wants. Meanwhile, if you go side by side with somebody, you're going to get stuck here.
Look at this rain line by Gorelius. He's going to take the lead away from Magnuson around the outside of turn 9. That was really impressive. He's very savvy around here in the wet, but again, right on the racing line there, Magnuson's going to throttle up on the backstretch and they'll drag race towards 11.
Magnuson has the advantage here inside line, offline on the brake zone into turn 11. He's going to have a way easier time braking.
Right on board the Ginetta here. It's going on the outside of Hans Horpedal. Really deep in the brakes for Pacelli as we watch the leaders up the road side by side. And Pacelli's off at the end of the back straightaway. Drives straight into the grass. There's no grip out there. He'll pull the car back towards the pavement, but lose 1 spot, maybe more than that. As there goes Pilipchik, Colin King, and it's just a slow trek back on course as they make their way around the first lap. That's how tricky the conditions are. But Gorelius, maybe some track knowledge playing into factor here.
6th to 1st over the first lap. I have to assume he's been here in the wet before. He's picking exactly the right lines to take.
Alex Moss there with the highest braking force on this opening lap, but notice that most drivers are a G or under, and that's just because there's just not that much grip out there, Dana, but I'm actually impressed that Moss is able to generate 1.2 given the wet conditions out there.
Yeah, that's just going to be a case of driving off of the normal racing line. I hope with BMW going off into the grass, struggling for traction, everybody.
Yeah, same story there on fire laps. Alex Moss. Actually, I have a feeling that Moss isn't actually out there, so that's actually pulling. Oh no, he is out there, P9. But look at Gorelius, just 1 G is he's able to pull. We saw 1.6, 1.7 G in the practice and qualifying laps yesterday. So just great demonstration of how much grip goes away in conditions like this. But I venture to say that this driver here in this BMW M2 CS Racing and having some motorsport traction control and ABS, that also has to play into effect here.
Yeah, that's a good point about the motorsport traction control. It's a pretty big difference, but the biggest difference is going to be just knowledge of where to put the car. Traction control can only help you so much, but if you're putting the car in the best possible position, I mean, as you can see, he's driving completely offline, not worrying about getting close to any of the curbs. He's going to brake offline mid-track, especially into turn 11 here, as you saw from the onboard. From Pacelli, it's extremely slippery into the brakes.
Yeah, that's Valdes Gorelius again. This is his first time ever in GridLife wheel to wheel, and he's showing his stuff here as we ride back on board with Anthony Pacelli, who drove off track there in turn 11 last time around, but is still 6th place over DeLucia. So even with that mistake, a little bit of knowledge of driving in the wet. See him braking sort of center track there, trying to run down Eric Pilipchik, and he's not going to turn very well, but as soon as you get to the edge of the racetrack, that's where that grip level is going to come back in. You have to trust that you're going to catch it. Touch the paint there, that's a little slippery, and you see that grass all packed in the grill there from that little off-track excursion.
Yeah, hopefully that's not going to cause any issues. It's not very warm outside right now, so hopefully it should be okay.
Yeah, great camera angle off the rear wing there as well. As we head down the front straightaway, watch the min and max speeds here. We're down about 15 miles an hour from where we were in qualifying. As far as top speeds are concerned, Eric Magnuson 112 is the fastest we saw that lap around. Gorelius 108.6, but look at the min speed, 34 miles an hour. Alex Moss is doing really nice, actually, unless that data's pulling from qualifying yesterday. If that Firelink isn't fired up. And look at this, lap 3 just now. Colin King matching Magnussen. Gorley is consistently a little slower at the end of the straights.
Yeah, but all of the corner speed is where it adds up. It looks like about 7 seconds a lap faster on that last lap. Very smart line choice and just not taking any unnecessary risks at this point.
And there's the battle for second place, about 20 car lengths between them. There's Eric Magnussen. Eric Pilipczyk in behind him. And I think coming into this event, looking at the entry list, you would have expected Magnussen to really be the driver to beat, given his experience, his wins in Eibach GLTC. But Gorley is really the dark horse here in that 244. Eric Pilipczyk, again, I think local track knowledge helping them a lot. They do a lot of laps here around Autobahn Country Club. It's Eric Magnussen's first time here as well, Dana. So you don't have a lot of laps to really understand where that wet line is going to form. And there's some repaved sections of this racetrack as well that will change the grip corner to corner.
That's an excellent point. I'd like to see Magnussen's lap times over the course of the race. I'm sure he's figuring out every single lap. He's figuring out a little bit more.
On board again with Anthony Pacelli. Straight line. And actually catching the drivers up there in third and second, Pilipczyk. But again, watch that. He's avoiding that inside lane. You can actually see where the track is greasy on the inside lane. And that was a much better run through there. But look at the throttle percentage, under 30% as he tries to accelerate out. And lap times 2:01.572. What are we, 30-something seconds off what we saw in qualifying yesterday?
Yeah, I was not exaggerating when I said how icy this track is. It is very, very, very slippery in the wet. And offline is required just to stay on the racetrack. In fact, a little bit of bravery is you have to basically run the outside edge of the racetrack. You have very little margin for error.
Yeah, actually, Pacelli's found some time there. That was his best lap. And I think a lot of drivers are starting to build some confidence. Alex Moss is up to 5th place. That's your fight for second all on screen. They're tiptoeing around here. And I can't really recall in memory the last time I watched a wet race here on broadcast here in GridLife. I don't think we've had one before. Look at this for second. Pilipczyk in the E92. BMW will run up behind the E46 of the 330 of Magnussen. Again, this is Pilipczyk's first wheel-to-wheel event with us here, and he's actually demonstrated quite a bit of aptitude around this south course here at Autobahn Country Club, where Magnussen's experience is just carried over from other tracks that are similar, like Carolina Motorsports Park earlier in the year.
Yeah, Pilipczyk will want to make quick work of getting around Magnussen here. He takes the outside line. Look at all the grip on the outside.
Oh, they touched wings there.
They did touch wings.
They didn't touch bodywork, but clipped each other's wings. Pilipczyk completes the pass for second. Magnussen a little off pace there, struggling to get grip. And you see Pilipczyk just kind of riding the edge of the road, and that's right up against the white line is where that grip is going to be. And looking last time around, a little quicker for that 247. And by a little quicker, I mean 4 seconds quicker.
Yeah, and then Pacelli is now going to have the sights set on Magnussen as well.
So Pilipczyk's car kind of walking away on him. All the while, Valdez Gorelias out front by a long ways. And have a look at speeds at turn 4. This is 20 miles an hour down, data from what we saw in qualifying yesterday. But how about a 10-mile-an-hour difference between Valdez Gorelias and Eric Magnussen, the pole sitter? That is the difference between a driver who's got track knowledge, who's got a car that's really well set up for the wet, and that difference is staggering. Really cool insights powered by Fire Laps, giving us a look inside the data in real time here. And as we watch Pilipczyk 3.4 seconds slower and a 22-second advantage. I mean, it's like that Bosch ABS traction control doing work in that BMW, but also Valdez Gorelias really unleashing the knowledge here. The car at this point isn't going to matter quite as much as the driver's knowledge as we run on board with Anthony Pacelli, who's closing in on Magnussen there for third.
Yeah, they call it the great equalizer for a reason. The rain really brings out the best of the best drivers, at least in the low traction conditions.
It's a handful right now for Pacelli as well, just watching him kind of hustle that car around. The rear end wants to be in front of the front end at the moment. There's your leader. New to wheel-to-wheel in GridLife, but clearly at home in the conditions right now as the track dries up after a lunchtime storm. It was dropping hail, pretty good sized hail around the facility for about 10 minutes. Again, riding the edge of the road, just don't touch the painted candy stripes. Those are very slick.
That might have looked like he went a little too far wide, but that's really just the line you have to take. All of the grip is on the unused pavement where it's not polished over. So you have to run it to the edge of the road where nobody else is driving when it's dry.
Yep, and that time starting lap 6 now. That was his best lap of the race, a 1:50.653. You see him straddling the pit exit line as well. That's great car control. That white line will be slippery, so if you can put it between your tires, you're better off. And here's your min-max speeds of lap 5. And again, Gorlias now carrying a bit more speed off into the corners, 114.3 miles an hour. But look at the min speed still, 37 to 27.
Yes.
10 miles an hour up everywhere for Gorlias in the 244.
And it's showing when you look at the time delta, and Pite's just letting him by. He sees the faster car. He's probably going to want to even see where he's driving. He's caught him up so quickly.
Yeah, Magnussen in the 330 has Anthony Pacelli right behind him as well. That's the 3rd place BMW and the 4th place Ginetta. That's a battle for position going on heading into turn 5. Alex Moss improves his best lap of the race. There's Pilipchik in 2nd. Not closing in on Gorlias. But he's done a pretty nice job putting himself in this position. And coming into the back of this shot, you're going to see just under the camera there, that was Magnussen and Pacelli, P3 and P4.